From the people who brought you GTA 5, Red Dead Redemption, GTA 4, there's a game that embodies the spirit of all of these, but in a much different world. One where you can throw nerds into bins or make out with anyone you want, and that is Bully Scholarship Edition. Many of you may have already heard of Bully and have played the game since its release in 2006, which makes the game over 19 years old, which could even be older than a lot of you watching. If that's the case, good luck watching this video in a few months' time when you have to verify your age. But before Rockstar gave us the mean streets of Los Santos or the wild frontier of Red Dead Redemption, they dropped us off somewhere far more terrifying: boarding school. Now, as a member of the great British nation, I could make a lot of jokes here about American schools, but I'm better than that, so I won't. I'm not going to say how there's probably kids in an American school holding down LB to select their weapons as we speak, and I'm not going to compare which one's more dangerous, Los Santos or an American public school, because the schools would lose. Now, from what I've said so far, you can probably tell that Bully is the school version of the GTA games, and despite what you're thinking, no, it doesn't have guns, God. But what it does do is give us a wild, hilarious and surprisingly deep take on teenage rebellion and schoolyard politics. The game begins by putting us in the shoes of our main protagonist, Jimmy Hopkins, a 15-year-old delinquent who was just about to be dropped off at his new school, Bullworth Academy. After being abandoned by his neglectful mother and her new husband, Jimmy is left to survive in a school where the adults are useless and the kids, well, they're just arseholes. This isn't detention or dodgeball, it's full-blown warfare. We arrive at Bullworth and within 5 minutes have already sent 3 kids to the hospital, but they're bullies so it's okay. And we go to meet the principal and his secretary, as well as Gary. Gary becomes our partner in crime in terrorising the school. He's smart, charismatic, but very unhinged, as you can tell by his very cool eyebrow slit. I did tell you that the students in this school were arseholes. The next character we meet is PT, and he's actually okay, and is the small harmless sidekick to Jimmy and Gary. Now that we've met the first characters of the game and moved into our lovely new dorm, it's time to do the most important thing: sneak into the girls' dorm at night. Not for any weird reason, you pervert. We do this because there's a collectible in the attic, which is really important for the story. Unfortunately for us, the window we came through is now locked, so we have to wait it out until morning. We then have our first day of school, and Gary introduces us to all the groups of students. There's the bullies. They live to torment, shove, steal lunch money and start fights, usually with kids smaller than them. The nerds. These are the know-it-alls that are constantly being picked on and shoved into lockers. The preppies. They're rich, obnoxious and obsessed with tradition. The greasers. Leather jackets, slicked back hair and look like they're straight out of the 1950s. And the jocks. These are the undisputed kings of the Bullworth hierarchy. We also start taking our classes, which aren't just filler missions. They're used to get new weapons and upgrades, like this firecracker that I accidentally killed a student with. I'm glad they did this to give the classes purpose, because they are fun to do, but can get a bit repetitive. For example, English. And I also like gym class because I get to beat up this fatty. That's not me being mean, that is actually what the game calls him. Following on with the story, Gary takes us into the basement, and when we get far under the school, no, Gary doesn't touch us, but he does betray us and lies to Russell, who is the big meathead of the bullies, by saying we insulted his mum. Then there's a boss battle, and we brutally murder Russell. No, I'm joking. We only beat him up a little bit, and surprisingly become allies. However, Gary's now gone, and Jimmy takes his first step towards ruling Bullworth. With the school now back under control, Jimmy turns his eyes to Old Bullworth Vale, which is the rich part of town ruled by the preppies, the spoiled, snobby brats who spend most of their time boxing or stroking their egos. The leader of the preppies is Darby Harrington, and he's the most arrogant and entitled of them all, and looks like the type of person who would post TikToks about how old money they are. And frankly, he doesn't take kindly to Jimmy because he's working class. We meet Derby a bit later on, but at the moment we're dealing with Ted, who is just as bad. We then also help the beautiful dinner lady by leaving the school for the first time and getting some groceries and clothes for her. Oh, if only the game would let us kiss her. After brutally beating up some preppies in a boxing match to prove ourselves, Tad makes us wear some preppy clothing and meet him in the boxing club. We arrive at Tad's house and surprise surprise, the arsehole Gary is there, again spreading lies about Jimmy and turning the preppies against us. To rub salt in the wound, we then chat up one of the preppy girls, Pinky, who is actually Darby's ex-girlfriend. Jimmy's good looks is just a curse. Let's just say it wasn't kept PG-13, judging by the wall in our dorm room. Ignore the other picture. We then go to the carnival with Pinky and play some rides to win her a teddy, because Jimmy is just such a sweetheart. And to prove how manly we are, we do something even more violent than boxing. We have a bike race. We obviously win the bike race, and the preppies decide to take our trophy for winning the race, which I think out of everything they've done is definitely the worst. Remember Russell? Well, he helps us go to Tad's house and throw eggs at his windows as payback for taking our trophy, which to be honest I think isn't enough. That should be punishable by death. But now that Tad's house smells like a chicken den, we head back to the boxing ring and challenge the champion boxer, Biffy, to a match. And we absolutely destroy him. I'm starting to think that this boxing gym might want to get a new coach. Anyways, this really pisses off Darby, and we have a boss fight with him and all the preppies and humiliate them all, giving us control over them and finally making them leave us alone. I was getting really sick and tired of being chased everywhere I went. Jimmy now finds himself in the middle of a turf war between the greasers, nerds and preppies. The greasers hang out across the train tracks in New Coventry, which is different to the real Coventry because it's a lot nicer, and heat brews between the three groups because of Lola Lombardi. Who is Lola Lombardi? She's the girlfriend of Johnny Vincent, the leader of the greasers. And let's just say she isn't the most faithful girl in the world, which rightly so makes Johnny very angry now that he has vicariously kissed every boy in town. We first see Lola with one of the preppies and take pictures for Johnny, which is a bit pervy, and then actually help the greasers against the preppies in an epic BMX battle in the skate park. After this, Lola then starts to flirt with us, which I don't blame her. Jimmy may be short, but he's got a huge heart. And to settle the battle for Lola's heart between Jimmy and Johnny, we have another bike race through the streets of Bullworth, which I feel like is literally straight out of an American teen movie. Once again, we win because we are not only awesome, but the story needs us to. And by winning the race, we get a little smooch of Lola, which Jimmy might want to get tested now that I think about it. Oh yeah, it's also Christmas time, so we help this creepy homeless Santa by disturbing some elves and taking nice pictures for him, and dress up as a nutcracker for the school play. The biology teacher also wants us to destroy this huge plant that the preppies have, which leads to one of the most exciting boss battles in game history. Now back to terrorising the greasers. We break into the tenements, which is the greasers' apartment, and has a very interesting decor. We retrieve Lola's things that she has left in there, and this also earns us another smooch. Seriously, Jimmy, you might want to go to a clinic. And we also go speak to the nerds and help them find Algie, who, unsurprisingly, has also been flirting with Lola. During the mission, we first find Cornelius, and I swear to God, is that dickhead Gary? Anyway, we find Algie and take him back to the school before Johnny can kill him. And this ongoing war ends with a boss battle between us and Johnny, which starts off with us fighting through some greasers to get to him, and when we do, let me tell you, we kick his ass. Okay, maybe we get bitched the first time, but we follow Johnny back to this junkyard and beat his ass, for real this time. That makes it 1-1. The greasers now respect us as well, and we're one step closer to taking over the school. Chapter 4 starts off with us trying to get help from the nerds to try and mess with the jocks. This is because the jocks aren't impressed by Jimmy's feats so far, and they only care about their own raw athletic dominance, which they believe they are the best at. Let's see how far they get against the spud gun. Well, we'll see that in a minute. Unfortunately for us, the nerds aren't so keen to help us straight away, because they too are arseholes in their own way. So to try and get them to do what we want, there's only one logical way. Storm into the nerds' headquarters and destroy half the building, nearly killing their leader, who by the way is called Ernest Jones. Thankfully, they forgive us and agree to help us take down the jocks, the last group for us to take control of before we own Bullworth. We also get the spud gun for completing this mission. Now that Ernest and the nerds are on board, we can plan our attack on the jocks and try to take down their leader, Ted Thompson. First, we have to assemble the nerds' forces, and to do that, we need to head over to the carnival and help the nerds escape a funhouse which the jocks have trapped them in. Now that we have our forces, we begin the war. Our first target is Mandy Wiles, who we take pictures of by sneaking into the girls' dorm again. I promise this is for the story as well. And the jocks find out that we did this and come to the library to try and, what I assume, kill us. And we defend it using the ultimate super spud gun. We managed to fend off the jocks, and going back to those pictures we took of Mandy, we later find her crying because they have now been leaked and posted around the town. We help her by tagging the posters, and we actually get another little smooch for helping Mandy out, even though we were the ones who took the pictures. I swear, Jimmy is the biggest player. We need to get him on a Sidemen 20 versus 1. Next, we target the mascot of the Jocks football team, the Red Bull, and we piss him off. In fact, we piss him off so much that he decides to fight us in the pool, which for some reason is empty. We defeat him and steal his sweaty mascot costume for ourselves. This allows us to prank the Jocks by disguising ourselves as their mascot. I'd love to see the reaction of someone walking around the corner and seeing the football mascot peeing into the team's water. Safe to say this really annoys the Jocks, and now we're ready for the epic boss battle with Ted and the football team. Now, I couldn't figure out how to actually do this boss battle for a while, because you don't want to get close to Ted, because you will literally get destroyed. But once I finally figured out how to do this boss battle, we defeat the team in front of the whole school, making us the most popular boy and the king of Bullworth Academy. Jimmy, you absolute stud. We're now cool with all the groups of the school, but this high that we're currently on might not last as long as we hope. Jimmy has now finally united all the cliques in Bullworth and is at the height of his power, which now that I think about it isn't that high. I think Jimmy's like 5'4". No offense to the short kings out there. However, there's a certain arsehole who has been working behind the scenes to bring the downfall of Jimmy Hopkins. The Townies, who are a group of dropouts and expelled students and led by Edgar Munson, is convinced by Gary that we are their enemy, as they are the last group outside of our influence. Honestly, I knew I hated him as soon as I saw that eyebrow slit. We decide to mark our ownership of Bullworth by spray painting the town hall, which actually helps Gary paint us as his evil tyrants. Great thinking, Jimmy. And we also unlock a new part of the map, which is the industrial estate, and this is where the townies reside. The first townie we meet is Zoe, who helps us get revenge on one of the PE teachers for being a creep by, I think, killing him. Oh, never mind, he's just covered in poo. After doing this, we head back to the school and find out that the nerds have had someone infest the library with rats, and they decide to blame us for some reason. So we help eradicate the rats, and they somewhat forgive us. But we also visit the preppies and find out that someone has taken all of their boxing trophies, and they also decide that we are the ones who did this. Jimmy has a sneaking suspicion on who this is, so we head to the industrial estate and find the townies are the ones who sent the rats, and we also catch them burning the boxing trophies. I don't think that's going to go down well with Darby, who is the preppy leader if you forgot. I know how short some of your attention spans are. But now that we have a reason to be pissed off with the townies, we head over to their hideout, the factory. We also bring Russell along to help us, because through all of this, he is the only one who still loves us. What a sweetheart. Zoe also helps us as well, but she's not as cool. Anyways, we make our way through the factory, doing some sick parkour, and we finally meet Edgar. We have a boss battle with him, and after beating him within an inch of his life, he tells us that Gary put him up to do everything that the townies did. We tell him that Gary's a prick, and he agrees, and now Edgar is going to help us find and take down Gary once and for all. It didn't really take much convincing. However, we get back to the school, we go to meet the principal, and he expels us from Bullworth, which is probably fair, seeing as we vandalised the town hall and have bullied more kids than I can count. Oh well, at least we don't have to do the classes anymore. Now there's nothing left to do but go back to the school and stop the complete mayhem that is occurring. When we reach Bullworth, we find all the cliques are fighting, and we go and stop the leaders of the cliques by beating them up again. Also, Russell is helping us with this. He is definitely my favourite character. We make our way into the school and find Edgar, who has beaten up some bullies. Russell chases away some prefects, and we teleport to the roof somehow. Here we meet who has been behind all of this. Can you guess who it was? He has a shit eyebrow slit and, in my opinion, doesn't deserve to live anymore. It was Gary. We chase Gary to the top of the school, and he tries to throw bricks at us, which I'm pretty sure would definitely kill us if they landed. Like, this kid's literally trying to murder us. Anyways, we both fall off the roof, but luckily land on some scaffolding, and now we have the final face-off with that little prick Gary. We manage to defeat him and fall off again, but this time landing in the principal's office, where we find him tied up to a chair. I wonder who did that. Clearly, he can see Jimmy did nothing wrong, and Gary was to blame for everything, and therefore retracts expelling us from Bullworth. We drag Gary off, I assume to be executed, and we become the hero of Bullworth, and everyone loves us again. And that wraps up the story of Bully. Sadly, there's no Bully 2, probably because this game caused so much uproar in the news and amongst parents for encouraging children to bully, which definitely makes sense. Thank God I'm not in school anymore, otherwise I would be itching to go and throw some bricks at some people tomorrow. If you are a kid in school and you're watching this video, well done for watching this video all the way to this point without some Subway Surfers playing below it. But if you are a kid and you're watching this, please, please, please do not go and get an eyebrow slit.